Story recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a drama adventure film called Alpha. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. In the late Stone Age in Europe, a group of hunters attempts to stampede off a herd of steppe bison toward a cliff. They are led by Chief Tao and are met with apparent success. However, the chief's son, Keda, gets scared when one of the bison turns around and rushes to him. The bison catches Keda by the horn, and despite Chief Tao's efforts to kill the animal, it manages to throw the young hunter off the cliff. As Keda is about to fall, the scene flashes back to a week earlier. The tribe is training its young hunters to make their own spears for a hunting expedition in order to prepare for the coming winter. Those who make dull ones can't join the hunting. The chief is proud to see Keda making the sharpest spear, but Keda's eyes are filled with fear and hesitation. As part of their training, Chief Tao orders his men to beat up the boys since pain is part of their journey. That night, Tao's wife, Ra, expresses her concern for her only child as she thinks that Keda is not yet ready. However, Tao believes in his son and pushes through with the plan. With the chief leading them, the hunters set out the following morning to embark on their journey of survival. Some might return, some might not. One night, the chief shows the group how he makes fires effortlessly, then turns to Keda to let him try. But the boy struggles with it, and he fails in front of his fellow hunters. Tao sees how easy it is for his son to give up, so he reminds him that to survive, they must focus, be patient, and never give up. Along their way, they encounter another group of hunters. Keda initially thought that there's conflict brewing upon the horizon, but luckily for everyone, the leader of the other tribe is a friend of Chief Tao. Tao proudly introduces Keda to his friend, and the other leader responds that his son has already joined their ancestors in heaven. This does little to soothe Keda's fears and worries, as it only foreshadows his possible future as a hunter. With the other tribe joining them for their hunt, they all move forward. Eventually, they pass by the stone towers their ancestors built to guide them to the hunting ground. For the chief, it is a reminder to bring his people back home alive. Chief Tao tests Keda by asking him to kill a wild boar they've caught. But to his disappointment, Keda can't bear to do it. He shoves Keda aside and finishes off the animal. Life is for the strong, the chief says. But just like his mother said, Keda fights not with a spear, but with his heart. While they sit around a campfire at night, Tao suddenly hears movements, prompting the hunters to stay alert. They stand with their weapons in hand, but nothing happens. Just as they're sitting back, an animal lunges at Keda's friend, who's just sat there beside him. Before Keda or anyone could do anything, the hunter quickly becomes the animal's dinner. This tragedy only fuels Keda's fear of their journey. The next morning, Tao sets up a cairn as a memorial service. Days pass, and as they are resting in a cave, Keda is given a tattoo of stars, symbolizing a mark that will guide him in his journey. Afterward, they hear a wolf howling. Chief Tao secretly teaches Keda about the alpha wolf. Though the alpha must take care of his pack above all else, the chief emphasizes that the others in the pack will challenge him if they sense weakness. Though Keda's proven time and time again that he's milder in nature, Tao still has high hopes that he will be the next leader of their tribe. To encourage him, Tao says that the alpha was not born the leader, but he has earned his place with his courage and heart. After some time of traveling, the leader of the other tribe notices some dung on the ground. Chief Tao recognizes what it is and instructs the hunters to put it all over their faces as a disguise. Soon enough, they discover a herd of steppe bison. Slowly and strategically, they approach the animals, and when they're near enough, they attack them with spears. Keda's hesitation, however, causes him to be bested by his prey, tossing him over the edge. At this point, gripping onto a rough ledge is all that Keda could do. Tao urges him not to let go, but his son still loses his grip and plummets down to a further ledge, where he loses consciousness. Chief Tao panics and attempts to go down, but the ledge is too far for him to reach. His fellow hunter, Sigma, concludes that Keda is dead, and there's nothing else they can do about it. As the hunters gather the animals they've caught down the ravine, Chief Tao remains at the top of the cliff, staring down at his son's body. Stricken with grief, Tao performs a funeral ritual before they return to their village. Meanwhile, a vulture comes down and pecks at Keda's mouth. He's suddenly awakened, ringing the bird and throwing it down. It turns out that Keda is still alive, but he's ailed by a broken leg. Upon realizing that he's on the cliffside ledge, the boy grows terrified. He calls for his father, but no one answers him. With no one else to turn to, he tries to go down by himself, but his injured leg makes it more difficult, leaving Keda hanging on the cliffside. After some hours, a sudden rainfall floods the ravine below. Keda tries his damnedest to maintain his grip, and when the water is high enough, he finally lets go and falls into the water. The following day, the water dries up and Keda survives. He then splints his leg to walk better and climb up back to the top of the cliff. To his dismay, he discovers the cairn set up by his father, striking him with the fearful realization that he has to go back home on his own. Afterward, he hears wolves howling and spots them coming to his direction. He immediately runs away and survives on eating worms. But when the wolves find him, Keda struggles to climb a dead tree and stabs one of the wolves. The wolves surround the tree all night, but when next morning comes, they are finally gone. Keda is awakened by the whimpers of the wounded wolf the pack left behind. Though he initially attempts to kill it using a spear, Keda stops as he takes pity on it instead. Still, he's afraid of getting bitten, so he ties the wolf's mouth first before carrying it, so he can wash its wound. With the creeping darkness, the hyenas come lurking in search of their prey. This prompts Keda to look for shelter while still carrying the injured wolf. They stay in a cave for the night, and the next day, Keda tends to his swollen leg and drinks some water. But while doing so, the wolf manages to take off the bind on its mouth. Keda notices that his companion is thirsty as well, so he offers it a drink. The wolf remains aggressive as he cautiously tries to feed it, but it soon calms down when it realizes that the human boy poses no harm. While recovering, Keda continues to treat his and the wolf's injuries. He musters up his courage to capture a rabbit for food, then struggles to build a fire to cook it with. On the other hand, the wolf tries to snatch the rabbit, so Keda sternly warns it off. He eats some raw meat himself to show his companion to be patient and wait for his command. This tames the wolf, and it sits back, waiting for Keda. It continues to observe him while he successfully builds the fire. Keda eats the food first before giving the wolf some leftovers to establish his dominance over it. While staring at the night sky, the wolf rests near Keda, but it still refuses to be touched. Nevertheless, Keda expresses his concerns and insecurities to the wolf, and it looks at him as though it can understand his emotions. When Keda is well enough to walk, he decides to set out before the first snow falls. He encourages the wolf to go home too, but it isn't moving. With that, Keda leaves the animal in the cave. As he journeys back to his village, he doesn't notice that the wolf is following suit. It keeps following him until Keda picks up on its presence and shoos him away. Still, the wolf refuses to leave him, and instead, it joins Keda on his way back home. In the middle of their journey, they spot wild boars below the hills. The wolf initiates the hunt, but Keda gets scared when the boar runs towards him, letting the animal escape. The wolf gives the boy a disapproving look, leaving Keda to defend himself for being a lousy hunter. As they continue their journey, their bond grows deeper the more they hunt together and keep each other company. At night, the wolf attempts to sleep beside Keda, but he doesn't allow it. So instead, the wolf waits for Keda to fall asleep, and only then does it sleep next to him. The next morning, it wakes Keda up, and they take a bath together. Though Keda had met the wolf under harrowing circumstances, the time he's spending with it is the only time he's enjoyed his hunting journey. While they continue on their way, Keda decides to call the wolf Alpha. Alpha becomes his best friend throughout his journey. When winter arrives, the two are hunting another wild boar in the middle of the frozen water. That night, a pack of wolves approaches them, but Alpha steps forward to greet the wolves. They then turn away without harming Keda as they realize that he's Alpha's companion. But since Keda knows that Alpha wants to join the pack, he lets it go with its family. His heart breaks as he does this, and it's very much against Keda's will. He continues his journey alone, but when night falls, Keda can feel just how alone he is, and he begins to cry. Amidst the later storm, Keda spots a pack of wolves on a frozen lake feeding on a carcass. Upon recognizing Alpha, Keda wastes no time in running towards them, but the ice breaks, making him fall through. He manages to break the ice, and with Alpha's help, Keda gets back up. He immediately builds a fire, takes his wet clothes off, and wraps his body around Alpha to warm himself up. They continue their journey together, and Keda is excited to see a man camping out. Keda runs to him to ask for help, only to find out that the man has frozen to death outside his tent. Keda tries to scavenge some food from the tent, but he flares up when he finds nothing. Things grow even dimmer when he starts coughing out blood, but Keda remains determined to survive with Alpha. Before leaving, he takes the man's bow and arrow. Unfortunately for the duo, they are caught between the storm surge and hyenas. The rabid animals chase after them through the thick cloud of the storm until they manage to take refuge in the cave. Fortunately, the hyenas didn't follow them inside, but just when Keda and Alpha thought they were safe from danger, they come face to face with a cave lion. The lion attacks Keda, but Alpha rescues him and fights off the beast. Keda uses the opportunity to shoot the lion with an arrow, killing it instantly. Though they reign victorious over the animal, Alpha is badly hurt in the process. Their long and winding journey becomes even more arduous with Keda's weakening body and Alpha's injury. But Keda is soon encouraged upon seeing the stone mark, indicating that they're close to their village. The next day, Alpha's body gives in, and since it can no longer walk, Keda decides to carry his friend, and they fall asleep in the open. When Keda wakes up, he continues carrying Alpha, and they move forward until he finally finds the village. By the time he's arrived, he's exhausted beyond words, and his parents are overwhelmed with relief when they see him. Ro and Tao express how proud they are of him, and Keda quickly urges them to help Alpha. Fortunately, the village healer is there to tend to Keda and Alpha's wounds. But to Keda's surprise, Alpha suddenly delivers her pups, revealing that she was a female wolf all along. With the passage of time, Keda and Alpha reach full recovery, all while the pups are growing up. In the end, Keda's tribe goes hunting again, and this time they're with their domesticated wolves.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.